You know I love testing and reviewing cheap RCs here on my channel. DRC contacted me and asked me if I'd like to test out one of their RC cars, and I have to admit, after looking at some of the photos of their products, I was a little bit 50-50 as to whether or not to take them up on this offer, as some of their cars did look a little bit toy grade. I'm happy to give anything a chance, which is why they have sent me the 9300, and today we are going to take a closer look. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be taking a closer look at the DRC 9300, a cheap RC car that looks extremely promising for the money. Now, when it comes to cheap RCs, there are so many to choose from these days. It really is a tough market for new models to stand out, and it's getting difficult for buyers who have to make a choice, as there are so many quality options to go for. So let's not waste any more time, let's get this unboxed and find out what we get. So let's take a little look at what we get in the box with the DRC 9300. Now, we've got two 850 milliamp hour 2S lipo packs, and they are running mini Tamiya connectors. We've got a very high quality drawstring bag with loads of goodies in it. So let's open this up and find out what we get. So in the bag you get a USB charger, pretty much your standard stuff that you get on a lot of cheap RCs. They're good enough to get you up and running. You've got some spare body clips and bolts. I think there's some screws in there as well. It's nice that they've included some extra hardware. This is interesting. You've got what looks like beadlock rings. I think they may be called beadlock rings, and you can actually screw these metal rings onto the wheels, and I will be doing that later. You also get a metal cross wrench, a plastic screwdriver, and a cleaning brush. You get a basic black and white manual, which is good enough to get you up and running. Finally, you've got your fast, furious transmitter, and it doesn't feel too bad in the hand. It does feel a little bit cheap, but we have to remember this is a cheap and budget RC. What's nice about this is you can adjust your throttle dual rate, which is essentially a speed switch, so you can turn the speed of the truck down a little bit until you get used to it, and then you can turn it back up. Also, as you would expect, you've got your steering trim, and another nice thing I like about this is they have included a foam grip on the steering wheel, which I am a big fan of. Battery wise, you need 3 AA batteries to get you up and running. So here it is then. This is the 9300, and it has a nice clean and simple body, which I think looks pretty good. This is also known as the Sandyland, and it's worth mentioning because I know there's a lot of you out there who aren't a fan of all the numbers. So let's get the body off and take a closer look at some of the features this little monster truck comes with. Let's take a quick look at the electronics first of all. Now, we've got a 20 amp 2-in-1 ESC and receiver unit. We've got a 380 sized brush motor with a heatsink. We've got a 9-gram 5-wire servo. Pretty much the usual stuff that we see on cheap RCs. They all come with 5-wire servos. We've got metal drive shafts throughout, and as far as I'm aware, we've got plastic diffs. This does have friction shocks, and they do feel a little bit springy, and I've got a feeling it's going to be pretty bouncy. And yes, as you can see, it is, but we have to remember this is a cheap and budget RC car, so it's sort of what I expect. The tyres are a little bit firm, but I do think they will be nice and grippy, and in a moment I'm going to fit those metal beadlock rings. This does also have a plastic chassis. What's interesting is you do get a plastic front bumper, but you don't get a bumper on the rear. We've done so much talking, let's head out and see how it performs. Right, so I've come out today to find out just how good this little 9300 is by DRC. Now, they state it will do 25 miles per hour out the box, or 40 kilometers per hour. That is the first thing we're going to do today. We're going to do a speed test, and we'll find out if that is true. Right, let's do this. Let's find out how fast the 9300 actually is. Well, it's certainly not going to be breaking any speed records, that's for sure. But it is nice and stable. That is full throttle. Right, let's find out what we got. 13 miles per hour. Surely that can't be right. I'm going to switch battery and try again. Right, I've switched battery. I'm hoping we can see more than 13. Everything on the app looks normal. We've got 12 satellites at the moment. So let's start and see what we get. Right, let's find out. 13 miles per hour. So I've tried another battery and I'm still reaching 13 miles per hour, which must mean it only does 13 miles per hour. So that means it's about 12 miles per hour slower than the promised speed, which is a little bit disappointing, but let's not give up on it just yet. So we know it's not that quick, but I want to see how this little car performs off-road, because that is where these little trucks really shine. It's not always about going fast. We'll see what it's like on the gravel. I think the real debate here is this toy grade or is this hobby grade? And I think I'm sort of 50-50 with it. Yes, it's got metal drive shafts, it uses lipo batteries, but I'm edging closer to toy grade. And that is fine, because we have to remember the RC hobby is not only about adults, it's about kids as well, and getting kids into the hobby, which is where something like this, you know, really does make sense. It'd be an ideal little truck to get a kid involved, you know, for a very good cheap price as well. It's not always about the big name brands, and you do have to give some of the smaller companies a fair chance. So who is this model for then? Well, I don't think it's for adults. I just don't think it's quick enough to keep an adult interested. I think there's potentially going to be better models out there. But if you're looking for a good Christmas present for a child or a young person who you're trying to get into the hobby, or you just don't know what to go for, yeah, I can see this being a fairly good option. My one criticism would be, I just wish it had a little bit more runtime, because, you know, those packs being 850 milliamp hour, they're not going to last a huge amount of time. I prefer to see maybe a 1200 or something like that. Yeah, it's not the quickest thing in the world, but it will make a kid happy. I know DRC do various different models, and I'm pretty sure they do a brushless version of this truck as well, and I've got a feeling that is going to be a lot more fun. But for me, this was just a little bit too slow. This is definitely one for the kids. There we go then, that was the first run of the DRC 9300. Now I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed with the top speed. This only managed to achieve 13 miles per hour out the box, and it was nowhere near the 25 mile per hour claimed top speed. This isn't the first time this has happened. I've had this before with other brands as well. Now, it's not necessarily an issue, because even at 13 miles per hour, it was still an enjoyable little RC car, and at no point did it become a chore to drive, and it was actually quite enjoyable. It's not always about going fast, and I can appreciate a slower RC at times. I think this is definitely a model for the kids, because if you was to give this to an adult, I can see them getting bored quite quickly with that 13 mile per hour speed. Like I said before as well, I do like the nice, simple and sleek design. You've got the metal drive shafts, and the fact that it uses lipo batteries as well, in my opinion, does make it a pretty good, ready to run, out the box RC car. If I could change anything on this little monster truck, I would really like to see higher capacity batteries. Each pack only managed to give us about 6 to 8 minutes of runtime, which really isn't a lot. But apart from that, overall, not a bad performing little machine. I don't know a huge amount about DRC, but I have to say I was quite surprised by this little truck. Selling primarily on Amazon, I really didn't know what to expect. So what do you think of this little DRC 9300? Do you think this is a good option for a beginner, or are there better options out there? I'm very interested to hear what you guys make of this. So drop a comment down below and let me know. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date. But apart from that, we're going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you again soon on the next one. Take care.